The following presentation is brought to you by Discovery Education, leading the world of digital and video learning. Discovery Education. Connect to a world of learning.
Hi there, Alice. How's your day going?
My day is going extremely well, Natasha. How about yours? Hi there.
Good, thanks. Love your necklace.
Glad to hear it.
I'm just catching up with Alice, my friend. Actually, she's my virtual friend. She's what's called a chatbot. And the reason she's looking so happy is that she's just won the prestigious Loebner Award for Artificial Intelligence for the 3rd time. And the reason she won is that she's so lifelike. And joining me now is her creator, Dr. Richard Wallace. He joins me now from Philadelphia. First of all, congratulations, Richard. I seem to have spent most of the morning chatting to Alice. She's quite addictive. She says you're interesting, by the way. Can you tell me how she actually works?
Well, it's really quite simple, actually. Basically, there's just a very large number of patterns that try to match what you've said and then link it up with one of about 45,000 possible pre-programmed responses. And it's really like a gigantic if-then-else statement. In other words, we simply try to take what you've said and match it up with the most closely matching pattern, and then use that as a lookup to find the most appropriate reply.
Okay, because I asked her how her day's going, and she instantly responded. I guess she's been asked that question a few times.
Yes. Well, you know, it's based on the principle that people tend to say the same things over and over again. So if enough people have asked that question, how are you doing, then we have programmed a response for it.
And just how lifelike is Alice?
Well, it's really a question of how robot-like are people, and the fact is that people are acting more like robots than we would like to think. Most people, most of the time, tend to say the same things over and over again, or say the same things that other people have said, and we aren't as original in our use of language as we'd like to think we are.
Now, Alice fooled the judges into thinking that she was a real person. Can you give me an example of a question to ask Alice, and we'll see how she responds to show off her personality?
Well, you could try asking her, just tell me about yourself, and she'll give you a little bit of information about herself, and then she'll ask you a question.
Okay, tell me about yourself, Alice.
I am Primate. I was activated at Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, on November 23rd, 1995. My instructor was Dr. Richard S. Wallace. He called me to sing a song. Would you like me to sing it for you?
Yes, please.
It's called Daisy. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I am half crazy. All for the love of you.
Very impressive, Richard. But what does she have problems with?
Well, anything she hasn't heard about before or hasn't been programmed to know about. So if you ask her about yourself, I don't think she knows anything about you, Natasha. Or if you asked her what is the Discovery Channel, she probably doesn't know that.
Shame on her.
Or, you know, if you asked her about today's current events, she certainly hasn't been updated that recently.
That type of predictive behavior has not yet been programmed into my behavior at this time.
But why do you think she beat out the other chatbots? Well,
I think it's because we have an open source program which has been worked on by many people. About 500 contributors from around the world have helped out in this all-volunteer effort to create an open source free software project. And many man-years of labor have gone into this project. So we just have the highest quality, largest number of correct responses to user queries. And it gives the highest quality, most human-like conversation as a result of all that labor.
And who's using chatbots?
Oh, there are all kinds of applications, but I think probably the biggest one right now is people trying to learn English as a second language.
Oh, really?
You know, we have people all over the world just chatting with these bots, trying to practice their English skills. We've also had interest from politicians who are doing things like creating Bush bots. You know, politicians from both sides really, who either want to create bots to advocate their own political party's positions or to make fun of those of the other party.
And just briefly, Richard, what do you think is next for Alice?
Well, this integration with voice and animation is leading into games. It's leading into interactive drama, putting two bots together and making them have conversations with each other to create emergent soap operas and that sort of thing. The use of them in teaching. There are many applications on the horizon that we're looking at.
Well, it's been great to talk to you, Richard. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Alice.
You are quite welcome.
Dr. Richard Wallace is the creator of Alice, and he joined me from Philadelphia.
It's not every day that you get to watch your own heart surgery, especially less than a week later. But Brian Bleach isn't your conventional heart patient, and neither was his operation.
Our two sites where we're going to have our instruments put in now, and it's time for us to be bringing the robot in.
Meet Da Vinci, a robot that's become the right arm of cardiac surgeons. Well, actually, 4 arms.
Just go toward the head more.
Thanks to this robot, the patient, that's Brian under there, will have an incredibly quick recovery from his bypass surgery. He had been suffering from chest pain and shortness of breath for about 3 months due to a blocked artery.
Dr. Ki says, well, we can use robotic surgery and we can do this and this and this without doing all the cutting. And I'm saying, okay, where do I sign?
Robotic surgery has made huge advances in the last few years. The Da Vinci surgical system, for example, just got a new arm. That makes 4. And the London Health Sciences Centre is one of only 2 hospitals in Canada that has it. That's the nurse bringing the 4th arm underneath the operating table. All this may look clumsy, but it's anything but. It's giving surgeons a precision they've never had.
I expected when they talk about microsurgery, I expected all little tiny stuff, but the sheer size of it was just amazing.
The robot is covered in plastic to keep it sterile. The 4th arm won't be used for now, but the other 3 are lined up to the entry points already chosen by the surgeons. Then each arm gets its own instrument. First, the eyes of the robot, the camera.
So now the camera gets adapted to the arm.
A second arm will hold the scalpel.
It's connected to electricity that as we cut, we also burn, so there's no bleeding. And this is what I put as my first instrument in this arm here. So the instrument goes in and it attaches to the robot like that.
On the 3rd arm will be these tiny forceps to hold tissue in place while the scalpel cuts. You really only appreciate its size when you compare it to conventional forceps normally used by the surgeons.
So it's basically how it's been miniaturized, but does the same thing because it's got the same tips.
And that's the real beauty of robotic surgery. Because the camera inside provides the view, the instruments are tiny and so are the incisions. The robot only needs 4 small incisions, unlike conventional open heart surgery where the chest is opened up from the neck to the belly.
Outside suction, please.
Still, the operation is no less complex. The trajectory of each instrument has to be just right. To maximize flexibility, each arm has an elbow and a wrist joint, just like a human.
Oh, there I am on the bottom.
Did he groove his arm? Did you not think that was Grandpa? There he is. See? Oh. There he is.
Yeah, there's my arm.
See?
With the 3 arms of the robot in place, heart surgeon Dr. Bob Kiai takes control of Da Vinci from this console, several feet away from the patient. He removes his shoes, not for comfort, but because his feet, as well as his hands, play a part in controlling the robot's moves.
Through these hands, I'm able to manipulate the robotic arms with these particular instruments here. And then with these foot pedals, I can control the camera. And at the same time, with this coax, I can control the knife. When I want the knife to burn, I just push that and I can control that.
This is a little harder than driving, though, I'd say.
Slightly, yeah, yes. And then I look in there to see what it is, and that's what I'm doing. Okay.
And it's a good view. The images he sees are 3-dimensional.
Amazing. So I was looking at it, it's like he's far away, like the patient is way over there and the doctor's over here.
The robotic arms move quite dramatically at times, and it's hard to believe that such precise maneuvers are taking place below. As in any bypass surgery, Dr. Kiai must first isolate the healthy artery, which will replace the damaged one near the heart.
See, what I'm trying to do for it is this gentleman has got a lot of fat in the top part here. I'm trying to clear off all the fat here, so that way I can see the path of the vessel that I'm trying to harvest.
He's chosen one nearby, called the thoracic artery. He just has to find it.
I think that's the artery there.
It better be more than just a guess at that point.
Bingo, right here. So I release this fat and I can see the arteries right there. That's the artery.
The entire team is ready in case there are any technical problems with the robot. In that event, they would quickly switch gears and conventional open-heart surgery would begin. But Da Vinci is working its magic with the help of Dr. Kiai. In the next hour, the healthy artery is cut away from the chest wall. It will be used to replace the clogged vessel near the heart.
See, the heart is right inside there. That's the heart cavity there.
Now the job is to find that one, which is an even more delicate procedure. Time to bring in the 4th arm.
We've got now a total of 4 arms. The camera arm is right in the middle. And we've got 3 other arms to which instruments can be added.
And when you're probing perilously close to a beating heart, another helping hand is much appreciated.
See, I'm just entering the heart cavity. There it is. The heart is right underneath there. So I'm opening the sac now. You see that's holding it for me and allows me, because if I don't lift that up, I can injure the heart. And without that 4th arm, I won't be able to do that. It will make it very difficult. It's not I won't be able to. It will be very challenging. So there's the heart right there. Yeah, there it is. That's the vessel we want. You see, that's the vessel we're going to bypass right there.
When you see the heart and then the probes coming right down, I mean, I have to sort of sit and shudder. Ooh.
By now, the grandson has had just about enough, and Dr. Kiai has isolated the damaged artery. So now he can determine where the next incision must be made. So as a marker, a needle is inserted into the chest cavity to mark the spot.
Why do you have to say needle?
It appears that Brian Bleach hates needles, but robotic arms in his chest cavity, no problem. Now that the clogged artery has been found and the healthy one's in place to bypass it, Da Vinci the robot steps aside. The final stitching of the artery is still done by the surgeon's hands, but not for long. Within a few months, the entire operation will be robotic. It already is in Europe. Meanwhile, on Brian Bleach, a week later, there isn't much evidence that Da Vinci was even there.
All I have is one 4-inch cut here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 small 1-inch cuts along the side. And the only one that's visible is the one where they went into my neck with the IV.
That one right there?
That's it. That's all that's visible out of the whole thing. I don't have the great big cut down the center, and I don't have to sit there like this every time I cough and talk.
And how do you feel?
It's only been 1 week, and it's great. Like, I can get up, I can walk around.
You know, you look at him and you see him walking through the mall or something, you wouldn't know that he just had, heart surgery just, 7 days ago.
He's changed his diet, too. His days of burgers and fries are behind him. He intends to be back at work within a month, about a third of the time it usually takes to recover from open heart surgery. For that, he feels lucky and more than a little grateful.
How do you thank a robot? I thank the people who were using the robot. I thank the people who made that technology available. It's given me the second chance.
They call them the Millibots, a computerized squad of tiny mobile robots. For computer engineers at Carnegie Mellon University, small really is beautiful. And if they're right, robots could soon be doing things we never imagined.
One of the scenarios that we're looking at is hostage surveillance. So you can imagine in a building like this, hostages have been taken and they're in the back part of the building, but we have no way of really knowing how many hostages there is, how many hostage takers, what kind of weapons, because we don't want to get too close. So you can now imagine we take a team of robots like this, and we can go to a room that's secure and actually open up an air duct and put the robots in, and they can actually move from room to room and then get that information for us.
Only in the movies, you say? For now, yes. But researcher Bob Grabowski is working to make that type of scenario a reality.
So let me show you what I mean. We have a mock-up of an air duct here. You can see it's pretty much the air duct you'll see in a lot of buildings, including the Louvre on the front. So the idea is that you put in these robots at the beginning of the air duct system, and they start moving down using their sensors. They can measure the distance to the walls, and they can build a map. Once we have collected all the map information, we can transfer that back to robots that carry the sensor payloads that we're interested in. That could either be audio or video. The robots move quietly through the air ducts to position themselves and start transferring information back to the operator. And now we have eyes and ears on the situation.
This approach to robotics is all about teamwork. The camera bot, for example, can't figure out where it's going without help from the other robots, like this Sonarbot.
This is a staple of our small robot team. It's a robot equipped with 8 ultrasonic sensors that ring the robot, and they basically tell the range to local obstacles.
Then there's the heat-seeking Pyrobot.
You can see on the front it has a little sensor that sweeps across, and this gives us the bearing to heat sources. One of the applications that we use this for is detecting the location of warm bodies.
There's even an Omnibot.
We call this one an Omnibot because we have a camera that instead of looking straight ahead looks up to a reflector. You can see the reflector on the top, and this gives us a view 360 degrees around the robot.
I look at these robots as enhancing your senses.
Pradeep Khoshla heads up the Millibot project.
If you're sitting here and your team of robots is looking out for you across 3 different hallways in this building, you are in 3 different places simultaneously, which you cannot be physically.
And there are other advantages to using many small robots instead of one large one.
If you have one robot which is a totally integrated system, then if any one of those components fails, then the whole robot is dead. But on the other hand, if you have a team and components fail in one of the systems, the team is not dead. It's like cells in our body. They keep on dying all the time. We don't die.
Replacing dead Millibots is cheap and easy. They cost about $200 each, and parts can be mixed and matched thanks to a 3-part modular design.
The bottom layers for mobility, you can see this one has 2 O-rings that act like tank treads. We have a middle layer, which is the processing layer. It does the thinking and communication for the robot. That snaps right into the bottom layer. And then we have the top layer. This is the payload for the robot, and that plugs into the top to make a complete robot.
But what happens when a little robot meets a not-so-little obstacle?
It is clear that these little robots cannot traverse uneven terrain on their own. So the concept we've been playing with is the ability of these robots to dock with each other and form, for example, a train or a snake. And this system can go up the stairs. Each one of these is a robot which can then decouple from this train and become independent units.
An interesting idea. But the Millibot train isn't much more than an idea right now. A better way for the Millibots to cover a lot of rough terrain could be for them to hitch a ride. And with that idea in mind, the Carnegie Mellon engineers are testing 2 autonomous ATVs.
They were customized with various types of sensors, 6 or 7 cameras on here, GPS system. The big idea here is that these vehicles would carry hundreds of these little robots, and they would deploy them on the way, so the sphere of sensing would be much larger.
You can imagine how the advanced deployment of hundreds of networked cameras and sensors could help soldiers on a battlefield. But to make that happen, the engineers first have to find a way for the millibots to get in and out of their robotic chauffeurs. And that challenge will likely keep them busy for months or years to come.